coming up, but our focus is on these 3 games that we have left. So in that sense, I do think it's correct.
The drama surrounding Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever has reached a fever pitch, been very much intended. Every day seems to bring a new chapter to a saga that feels less like professional basketball and more like a high-budget sports documentary unfolding in real time. What should be a triumphant era for Indiana basketball has instead morphed into a swirling storm of speculation, and the growing sense that the Fever have no idea just how fragile their newfound empire really is. It all started with whispers, but lately, those whispers have grown into something louder and unshakable, absurd, and yet somehow believable rumor. Could the Indiana Fever actually consider trading Caitlin Clark? Even saying it out loud feels like sports heresy.
Elsa's comment diminishing Caitlin Clark's importance as the offensive engine of the Indiana.
This is the player who resurrected the franchise from the dead, turned their once-empty arena into a nightly pilgrimage for basketball fans, and made the team the most talked-about subject in all of women's sports. And yet, the vibes in Indiana have taken a bizarre turn. Articles like Scott Agnes' piece suggesting that Clark and her fans bring a dark side to the organization have started to circulate, and Fever insiders have quietly grumbled about the challenges of managing the Caitlin Clark effect. Some around the team have reportedly complained that not all the new fans are here for basketball, as if the 17,000 people in the stands chanting for Clark should be chastised for not being die-hard Fever lifers from the Tamika Catchings era. To say the math isn't mathing is an understatement. Clark is not just a basketball player. She is a cultural event, a walking headline, a highlight waiting to happen. Before she arrived, the Fever were an afterthought. Team most casual sports fans couldn't even identify in a logo lineup.
Caitlin Clark and all that, we dealt with this with Melissa Smith and her brother. We couldn't wait to get her to fuck off this team.
Their games drew sparse crowds, with lonely popcorn machines humming in near silence. The moment Clark stepped into the league, Indiana became the Beyoncé of the WNBA, front and center, trending on every platform, drawing eyes from fans who had never once cared about women's professional basketball before. Concession stands sold out, merchandise racks were wiped clean, and ticket prices skyrocketed to levels never seen in Fever history. Every shot she takes becomes viral content. Every Logo 3 is a mini Super Bowl. And yet here we are, with people around the organization grumbling about the weight of her stardom as if it's a burden instead of a blessing. The rumor mill kicked into overdrive when Fever detractors began floating the idea that the team might be better off without the circus that follows Clark. Sophie Cunningham's candid comments about other WNBA players expressing their desire to show Caitlin Clark what the W is really about fueled the perception of a league divided, where Clark's stardom both elevates the game and paints a target on her back. She is a villain to some, a hero to millions, and a ratings juggernaut to everyone. But villains and heroes alike are good for business. Our license is not.
Caitlin Clark reminded everybody who she is in the Fever win over the Wings in what was a blowout.
Trading her would be an act of self-sabotage on a level so monumental that it would make the Herschel Walker trade look like a minor clerical error. Let's be crystal clear. Caitlin Clark is not just a star. She is the sun, and the Fever orbit around her. Remove her, and the galaxy collapses. Fans who traveled cross-country to see her in person won't stick around for a gritty defensive team. Built around balanced scoring, they'll follow her wherever she goes, like basketball's version of Swifties, only with better jump shots. The Fever might as well hand out "We Quit" signs with every ticket stub if they trade her, because the stampede to the exits will make Indiana traffic look like a calm Sunday stroll. Think about the economics for a moment. Trading Clark wouldn't just be a bad basketball move. It would be financial malpractice on a historic scale. She's not just filling seats, she's filling the league's bank accounts.
Last season,
she and the Fever reportedly accounted for nearly half of the WNBA's total broadcast value. Merchandise sales skyrocketed 500%, with her jersey claiming the #1 spot by a landslide. Sponsors lined up like it was Black Friday at Best Buy, desperate to attach their brands to the Caitlin Clark effect. Ticket resale sites like TickPick saw prices plummet the moment her injury was announced. Sky Fever tickets went from $86 to $25 overnight. She moves markets like an entire economy in sneakers, and Indiana has the audacity to act like this is a problem.
Clark's delusional fans stay mad and call me all the names in the book.
Meanwhile, on the court, the whispers of tension only make the situation more combustible. Clark's injury history this season has been alarming, with multiple strains and setbacks that have fueled a narrative of medical mismanagement. She has already reportedly sought outside doctors and distanced herself from the Fever's medical staff, sending a clear message without uttering a single word. She doesn't trust the infrastructure around her. Add in her visible frustration, her moments of isolation on the bench, and the no-infamous photos of her in private post-game meetings with Liberty Stars and coach Sandy Brondello, you start to see the foundation cracking. It looks less like a happy home and more like the opening act of a superstar exit story. The Fever, front office, and coaching staff seem perilously close to mistaking the source of their success. Stephanie White has spoken about wanting Clark to play more off the ball, as if her generational talent is something that needs to be diluted to fit a system. That's the kind of thinking that gets franchises left behind. Peyton Manning didn't fit into someone else's system. He was the system. Michael Jordan didn't get turned into a corner shooter because Doug Collins wanted more touches for the power forward. Magic Johnson didn't play off the ball so Norm Nixon could have his moment. You don't diminish generational talent too. Protect your philosophy. You build the world around it. Clark should be handling the ball 90% of the time. She should be the offensive engine, the marketing centerpiece, the heartbeat of the franchise. Anything less is organizational malpractice. And yet, the most delusional idea floating around Fever circles is the notion that the team will remain relevant without her. That somehow, the fans will stay loyal to the logo instead of the phenomenon. History has already given us the answer.
The long bombs. Caitlin Clark is there. Run to the other side quickly. That's where they got the majority of their points.
Viewership and ticket sales cratered the moment Iowa season ended last year. People weren't tuning in for the spirit of competition or to see who Indiana drafted 12th overall. They were tuning in for the Caitlin Clark show. She is the needle, not just someone who moves it. Remove her, and the Fever are right back to being a team that can't give away tickets. A team whose games are background noise instead of appointment viewing. Even the championship hypothetical sum. Fans toss around falls flat under scrutiny. If the Fever somehow win a title this year, while Clark misses most of the season with injuries, the conversation won't be about Team Triumph Fiddle, be about what could have been. Haters will use it to diminish her. Fans will question the legitimacy. And the Fever will still be left with the same existential crisis. A superstar on the verge of walking out the door because the franchise couldn't get out of its own way. The truth is brutally simple. Caitlin Clark is bigger than the Fever. She is bigger than any single market in the WNBA. Her presence has elevated the league to new heights. And her departure from Indiana, whether by trade or eventual free agency, would create an instant, seismic shift. The team that lands her, no matter how small or irrelevant today, will become a national phenomenon overnight. Sellouts, primetime games, sponsorships, tidal wave of new fans, the Caitlin Clark effect will follow her wherever she goes. And Indiana will be left with empty seats. Regret and a place in the sports business hall of shame under How to Ruin Everything 101. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about basketball. It's about brand, identity, and cultural momentum. Trade Caitlin Clark. And you don't just lose a player, you lose your soul, your fans, your relevance, and the league's golden ticket. She is the story. She is the reason. She is the future. And if the Fever are foolish enough to fumble the best thing that's ever happened to them, they deserve every empty seat and every sarcastic think piece that follows. Caitlin Clark didn't just move the needle for the WNBA, she became the needle. And if Indiana can't figure that out, she will gladly go somewhere that does, turning that team into the center of the basketball universe. While the Fever fade back into the shadows they were so desperate to escape,